I'm James. I'm the founder of Spring Loaded. I started the company 12 years ago, and it was just a solo dev kind of situation. And now we've grown to loads of people since the success of our last game, Let's Build a Zoo. So Let's Build a Dungeon is kind of a very meta game on multiple layers. We obviously wanted to play on the success of Let's Build a Zoo. So you start out and you just build this giant RPG world, which is inspired by kind of Pokemon and Zelda and things like that. But you're actually building an MMORPG. And so there's a second layer on top of that that is your whole company, and you get to run your business. And so we wanted to make the deepest simulation of the video game industry ever. And it's funny because all of us make games, everyone here, and yet no one's ever really gone out of their way to make a very realistic game dev sim. It's realistic down to the level of where you decide to put your office, you'll get taxed according to that country's tax. If you send your developers over to a show from that location, they'll get jet lag if it's in a different time region, and you have to pay more for their flights. And that's just one of the tiny parts of it. The game is just everything I do in my job every day. I'm like, oh my God, I have to put that in the game, you know? So yeah, everything like QA and all kinds of moments. And one of the greatest things that I get to do is I get to tell a lot of stories that I've personally gone through in the industry. And we're actually adding a feature at the moment where we interview other developers in the game. Because you go to a show and you meet some people and they start talking about their games and their life, just like real shows, you know. On top of that, you can actually play the game that you're building. And then on top of that, yeah, it's pretty crazy, we built an entire game engine that you can use. So we think, well, we hope it works. It's pretty difficult. We think we're making the first ever full game engine that you can make games online with your friends on a console. Yeah, it's huge. So it started off with the idea that I really wanted to make games quicker. And I woke up one day and I was thinking, I've got a great idea for a game, but I don't want to go and write the UI, write the character controller, write the game state manager. I'm just bored of doing that. How can I make this thing really simple and then sort of build a game around that? And usually everything that we build is a sort of step on our road to the next game. So obviously Let's Build a Zoo has a lot of pathfinding things, and we reused a lot of that, but then all the other stuff is new, and it's just this sort of idea came together about bringing all these elements into one place that make game development easy. So I've never had a reason, for example, to build a really great conversation editor. In my whole career, I've never had one. You know, it's like you script it in Excel or something, and now I finally have one that's like really good, and I'm like, oh, I wish I'd had this for the last 20 years, you know. So as a result, we have quite a few engineers, and we all just take a little feature each, and then we try to push it forwards. Hugely complicated thing, and also trying to approach game development from a non-technical standpoint. I found when I learned how to program, I was originally a designer for many years, and learning how to code is like the hardest thing I ever did, you know. It's just such a weird concept, like the whole thing. And I always think about what I thought programming was and how I thought you'd make games. And we've tried to approach it more that way. Like, you click on a guy in the world, and then you can go and edit his conversation. Or you can go to his sprite, and you can redraw him as a new sprite. We try to make everything sort of backwards, and you never have to think about programming or think about logic too much. I mean, you click on a door, and you can say, lock the door, and then you just add the asset that the person needs to open the door. So you don't have to write any logic. And I realize I've discovered there's about 4 systems that sort of play together that we use to make pretty much all games. And so I'm trying to separate those out in a way that hopefully works. I don't know. I mean, obviously the main focus is the game, which is this whole video game development simulation. But the kind of tools underneath it are really fun to build and a real challenge for us. And really excited to see what people come up with. So the game is out next year. We are running a beta test from our Discord and our mailing list, but I think we'll release a Steam demo at some point, hopefully. But there's nothing you can play right now in the public. The best thing is to watch. We did a developer walkthrough of the creative mode for the Gamescom Xbox show, and I think that's on YouTube somewhere. But yeah, soon. You better play it soon. Just wishlist us on Steam and get to it from there. It's a game I really want to play. That's why I think if you're interested in the humor of video game industry and how stupid it is, then this game offers just infinite satire. Also, if you just like building games, like Let's Build a Zoo was just such a homely, cozy experience. And if you just want to focus on building this giant world and filling it up with like heroes fighting monsters and little cute story things happening, you can do that. The world is the biggest world we've ever built. We have more than 10,000 assets in the game that are hand-drawn and mostly animated. There's a huge epic story. I've written 5 full RPGs, and you can pick your way through them in different ways. It's sort of endless content there, and you can play with your friends as well. So.
Infinite possibilities there.
Yeah, infinite time to build as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Infinite complexity.